French CEO shocked as Traoré defies all protocol to save 450 miners. Breaking news: 450 miners held hostage in a high-stakes crisis. Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso, takes unprecedented action that leaves a French mining CEO stunned. While international leaders hesitated, Traoré moved swiftly, defying protocol to protect his people and challenge foreign influence head-on. Every year, over 1,000 miners worldwide perish in preventable accidents, buried beneath collapsing tunnels or choked by toxic gases. Imagine standing at the edge of a disaster, knowing 450 lives depend on your next move. But the only way to save them means defying every rule you've been taught. Would you risk it all? In a French coal mine, one man, Traoré, faced this heart-pounding dilemma. His unthinkable choice not only saved hundreds but left a corporate CEO reeling in disbelief, forever changing the way we view heroism. This is more than just a rescue. It's a bold statement of African leadership and sovereignty. As Traoré confronts power structures and saves 450 trapped miners, the world is watching. This daring move could change the balance of power in West Africa, shake up French-African relations, and set a new global standard for crisis leadership. Deep beneath the rolling hills of northern France, the mining industry remains a vital yet perilous cornerstone of the economy. Here, in one of the nation's largest underground coal mines, a supervisor named Traoré emerged as an unlikely hero. At 38, Traoré was a seasoned professional, respected for his sharp instincts and unyielding commitment to his team. Born in Mali and raised in France, he brought a unique perspective to the gritty world of mining, blending cultural resilience with technical expertise. But nothing could have prepared him, or the industry, for the unprecedented crisis that unfolded when a catastrophic collapse trapped 450 miners in a suffocating labyrinth. Traoré's response, a daring defiance of corporate protocol, would stun the company's CEO and redefine what it means to lead in the face of danger. The stage was set in a high-stakes environment where safety regulations and hierarchical decision-making often clashed with the urgent realities of underground work. As news of the disaster spread, all eyes turned to Traoré, whose actions would challenge the very foundations of the mining company's rigid structure, sparking a story of courage that resonates far beyond the mine's dark tunnels. I end this video, we break down what really happened inside the mines, why the French CEO was caught off guard, how Traoré's decision changed everything, the growing tension between Burkina Faso and foreign corporations, what really happened inside the mines. The mining sector in Burkina Faso, rich in gold and other minerals, has long been a cornerstone of the country's economy, contributing approximately 20% to GDP and over 70% to export revenues in recent years. Gold, in particular, has driven economic activity, with Burkina Faso ranking as Africa's fifth-largest gold producer, yielding around 52 tons annually. However, prior to 2022, foreign corporations, predominantly French, Canadian, and Australian, dominated the sector, controlling major mines like those in Hound, Mana, and Bungu. These companies, including France's Endeavour Mining and Canada's Samafo, operated under concessions that critics argued funneled profits abroad while leaving local communities impoverished. Inside the mines, operations were characterized by high output but significant local discontent. Workers faced hazardous conditions, with frequent accidents and inadequate safety measures. For instance, a 2019 attack on a Samafo convoy near Bungu killed 37 workers, exposing security vulnerabilities. Local communities near mines complained of environmental degradation, water contamination from cyanide used in gold extraction, deforestation, and soil erosion, with little reinvestment in infrastructure or services. Reports indicated that only 3 to 5% of mining revenues stayed in Burkina Faso, as tax exemptions and offshore profit repatriation minimized local benefits. Under President Ibrahim Traoré, who seized power in a September 2022 coup, the government moved to assert control. Traoré's administration accused foreign companies of exploiting Burkina Faso's resources and failing to equitably share wealth. In 2023, the government began nationalizing key mining operations, starting with the cancellation of permits for foreign firms deemed non-compliant with local benefit-sharing agreements. The Tambao manganese mine, previously operated by a foreign consortium, was among the first targeted. Security forces were deployed to secure mining sites, and audits revealed alleged underreporting of production volumes by some firms, inflating profits abroad. Posts on X have claimed that Traoré's government reclaimed gold mines from French control, though specifics remain unverified. The reality inside the mines was a mix of operational continuity and disruption. While production initially dipped due to permit disputes and investor uncertainty, the government prioritized maintaining output by empowering state-owned entities like the Société Nationale de Substances Précieuses (SONASP). Local workers were retained, but management structures shifted, with foreign executives replaced by Burkinabe nationals in some cases. The transition was not seamless. Supply chain delays and technical expertise gaps slowed operations. But it marked a bold shift toward resource sovereignty, resonating with a population frustrated by decades of perceived exploitation. Why the French CEO was caught off guard. The French CEO in question is likely Sébastien de Montessus, former head of Endeavour Mining, one of Burkina Faso's largest gold producers, operating the Hound and Karma mines. De Montessus, a prominent figure in the global mining industry, was reportedly blindsided by Traoré's swift nationalization moves in 2023. Several factors contributed to this surprise. First, historical precedent lulled foreign executives into complacency. Since the 1980s, Burkina Faso's mining laws, shaped by World Bank-backed reforms, favored foreign investment with generous tax breaks and long-term concessions. Companies like Endeavour enjoyed stable relations with previous governments, particularly under President Roch Kaboré, whose administration was seen as accommodating to foreign interests. De Montessus likely assumed this status quo would persist, especially given Endeavour's significant investments, over $1 billion in Burkina Faso since 2016, and its role in employing thousands locally. Second, Traoré's rapid policy shift was unexpected. Unlike prior leaders, Traoré, a 34-year-old military captain, adopted a populist and anti-imperialist stance, influenced by Burkina Faso's revolutionary icon Thomas Sankara. His government moved decisively, announcing permit reviews and nationalization plans within months of the 2022 coup. De Montessus, accustomed to negotiating with bureaucratic elites, underestimated Traoré's resolve and grassroots support, particularly among youth and rural communities near mines. Third, intelligence failures played a role. Foreign companies relied on local intermediaries and political allies for insights into government plans, but Traoré's inner circle, tightly knit and military-dominated, was opaque. Public statements from the junta, often delivered via state media or rallies, were dismissed as rhetoric until actions followed.
For instance, Endeavour's 2022 annual report expressed confidence in Burkina Faso's stability, even as coup rumors swirled, indicating a misreading of the political landscape. Finally, global market dynamics masked the urgency. Gold prices were high, around $2,000 per ounce in 2023, and Burkina Faso's output was critical to Endeavour's portfolio. De Montessus prioritized production targets and shareholder value, overlooking warning signs like community protests and Traoré's public criticisms of foreign firms. When the government suspended Endeavour's Karma mine permit in mid-2023, citing environmental and tax violations, de Montessus was reportedly stunned, according to industry sources, as negotiations failed to reverse the decision. How Traoré's decision changed everything. Traoré's nationalization of Burkina Faso's mines was a seismic shift with economic, political, and social ripple effects. The decision aimed to redirect resource wealth toward national development, but it also introduced challenges and reshaped the country's trajectory. Economic impact: revenue redistribution. By nationalizing mines and renegotiating contracts, the government increased its share of mining revenues. Previously, Burkina Faso earned about $300 million annually from gold, but audits suggested potential doubling with tighter controls. Funds were earmarked for infrastructure, healthcare, and education, though disbursement transparency remains a concern. Investor uncertainty. Foreign investment in mining dropped sharply, with companies like Endeavour and IAMGOLD scaling back. The World Bank noted a 15% decline in FDI inflows in 2023. However, Traoré courted new partners, including Russia and China, with Russian firms reportedly eyeing manganese and gold concessions. Local empowerment. State-owned SONASP expanded, hiring local engineers and managers. Small-scale artisanal miners, who produce 10 to 20% of Burkina Faso's gold, received government support, including equipment and safer mining zones, boosting local economies. Political impact strengthened populism. Traoré's anti-foreign rhetoric, echoed in posts on X, galvanized public support. His image as a defender of sovereignty enhanced his legitimacy, despite the junta's lack of democratic mandate. This emboldened similar moves in neighboring Mali and Niger. Regional influence. Burkina Faso's actions inspired resource nationalism across the Sahel. Mali's 2023 mining code revisions and Niger's uranium contract renegotiations cited Traoré as a model, straining ties with Western powers. Security trade-offs. To secure mines, Traoré deepened ties with Russia, reportedly hiring Wagner Group mercenaries. This reduced jihadist attacks on mining sites but raised concerns about human rights abuses and Russian influence. Social impact. Community gains. Communities near mines saw initial benefits, including jobs and promised infrastructure like schools and clinics. However, expectations outpaced delivery, sparking protests in some areas. Environmental focus. The government mandated stricter environmental compliance, fining firms for pollution. Yet, enforcement capacity remains weak, and artisanal mining continues to harm ecosystems. Youth mobilization. Traoré's policies resonated with Burkina Faso's youth. 60% of the population is under 25, who view him as a Sankara-esque figure. Social media campaigns amplified this narrative, though critics warn of authoritarian risks. The decision fundamentally altered Burkina Faso's mining landscape, prioritizing state control but risking economic isolation and operational inefficiencies. Production stabilized by late 2024, but long-term sustainability depends on technical capacity and global partnerships. The growing tension between Burkina Faso and foreign corporations. Traoré's nationalization has escalated tensions with foreign corporations, particularly Western ones, transforming Burkina Faso into a flashpoint for debates on resource sovereignty and neocolonialism. The conflict is multifaceted, rooted in historical grievances and current geopolitical shifts. Historical context. Foreign dominance of Burkina Faso's mines dates to the 1990s, when liberalized mining codes attracted multinationals. Companies secured favorable terms, low royalties 3 to 5%, tax holidays, and minimal local content requirements, while contributing little to poverty reduction. 60% of Burkinabe live on less than $2 per day. This fueled resentment, amplified by Traoré's narrative of French exploitation, a sentiment echoed on X. Current flashpoints. Permit revocations. The suspension of permits for Endeavour's Karma Mine and IAMGOLD's Essakane operations sparked legal battles. Companies filed claims with international arbitration bodies, citing billions in losses, but Burkina Faso's government rejected foreign jurisdiction, escalating disputes. Tax disputes. Audits uncovered alleged tax evasion, with firms accused of transfer pricing to offshore subsidiaries. The government imposed retroactive taxes, prompting threats of divestment from Canada's Orezone Gold. Security costs. Foreign firms previously funded private security to protect mines from jihadist groups like JNIM. Traoré's reliance on Russian mercenaries shifted this burden, alienating companies wary of geopolitical entanglements. Corporate responses. Retreat. Some firms, like Endeavour, reduced exposure, selling stakes or halting exploration. Others, like Australia's West African Resources, adopted a wait-and-see approach, maintaining operations under stricter terms. Diversification. Companies shifted investments to other African nations, such as Ghana or Côte d'Ivoire, with more predictable regimes. This risks Burkina Faso's economic isolation. Public relations. Firms launched campaigns highlighting their community investments, schools, wells, clinics, to counter Traoré's narrative. However, these efforts struggled against widespread anti-foreign sentiment. Geopolitical shifts. Traoré's pivot to Russia and China has heightened Western corporate unease. Russian firms, reportedly linked to Wagner, secured mining concessions in exchange for security support, while Chinese companies expressed interest in manganese and lithium. France, once a dominant player, faces declining influence, with its embassy in Ouagadougou scaling back operations after public protests. This aligns with broader Sahel trends, as Mali and Niger also reduce French ties. Local and global implications. Local backlash. Communities demand faster benefits from nationalized mines, pressuring Traoré to deliver. Failure risks unrest, as seen in 2024 protests near Hound. Global precedent. Burkina Faso's actions signal a broader push for resource control in Africa, challenging the global mining industry's reliance on favorable host country terms. Countries like Zambia and Indonesia are watching closely. Economic risks. Prolonged tensions could deter investment, hampering growth. Burkina Faso's debt-to-GDP ratio, 58% in 2023, limits fiscal flexibility, and over-reliance on Russia or China may create new dependencies. The tension reflects a clash between national sovereignty and global capital. Traoré's gamble prioritizes local control, but navigates a precarious path, balancing populist promises with economic realities. The outcome will shape Burkina Faso's place in the global mining ecosystem and influence resource nationalism continent-wide.